But Bill, the joke in India is that if you just cut the tariffs on the Harley Davidsons, it'll be a smooth ride for a trade deal between India and the U.S. But jokes apart, on a serious note, what do you think is holding them back? And do you remain optimistic that a trade deal will see the light of day given the kind of political motivations that Donald Trump follows at home?
Well, I agree with Richard in that if you have a trade deficit, you're on the wrong side of the ledger with Donald Trump. To the extent that motorcycles or cell phones or any one issue is going to be, a major block. I think really what the focus of this administration is on right now are the trade talks with China and also with U.S. Mexico-Canada deal. So India is kind of in sequence to that. In fact, I think that when the decision came and was announced in early June to terminate the GSP, the Generalized System of Preferences, this was as much a signal to China as it was to India. I mean, I think really there's been a lot of argument about whether these major economies are still developing. And for the Trump administration, this seems to be classic leverage that, should there be agreements to remove certain barriers to medical devices, to dairy, to motorcycles and so on, that potentially this GSP duty-free access could be restored. So I just think it's more of a question of time and what bandwidth this administration has given all the trade frictions it's dealing with right now.
Help me understand the American engagement and interest in India. Is it largely driven by the size of India's market, or is America also looking at India with interest because it sees India as part of its strategic calculations for the region?
Well, I think both camps are alive and well, and that's really the two of the main parts of our relationship. On security matters, China's rise and what that's kind of meant for regional instability, trying to upend the world order. We think that India has a lot more complementarity with the U.S. view. India's enjoyed kind of the security blanket, very few threats to India's national sovereignty, over the last 70 years. So we think there's a lot of complementarity. You do see India's rise, too, as a power and their ability to, impact things in their own neighborhood. Give you a great instance was, Indian military defending Bhutan's border when China attempted to rewrite it 2 years ago. I mean, that was a hugely historical significance for India to put its military to defend a smaller neighbor. So we do think that there's a lot of complementarity on security, India acting in its own interest. And that's where the United States sometimes has a problem because, we like to try to pull together friends around, singular goals that we look at, whether it was the Afghan war, the Iraq war, things like that. So India operates in its own universe, but very similar principles. And the United States, we've got to be comfortable with that and view that India acting in its own interest is good for us, even if sometimes we're not always working together on what the United States considers our primary threat. So security, there's a lot of ballast there. On econ, I think you're exactly right. India presents one of the most exciting markets globally. It still is, a really tough place to do business if you're used to the United States and Canada and Europe. The business practices are different and rule of law is a little bit more difficult to come by. But at the same time, India's gotten steadily better over 30 years. So, anytime I talk to companies, I counsel them that get in now or wait 20 years until it's perfect. You might as well start building momentum now, building investments. And you see that. Trade flows, despite these trade tensions. Trade flows $94 billion in goods trade between our two countries, the fastest growing export market among our 20 largest trading partners in the last year. So despite problems between our capitals on trade too, you actually see real companies doing more exciting things than I think what our governments have been able to lead on.
What is driving this relationship, Bill? Trade or strategy? And if there is a change in the dispensation in Washington post the election next year, do you believe that America's policy towards India will also see recalibration?
No, I think the direction has been pretty solid since even going back to the 1960s, where the U.S. State Department top officials and presidents were viewing India as that partner it always wanted, that there needed to be a non-communist strategic ally in the region, and India fit that bill. Now, it didn't work out well through the 60s and the 70s, But what we've seen is, I think, a steady progress with some bumps, of course, where you know, that the fact that we're renaming our Indo-Pacific Command and that we are espousing a free and open Indo-Pacific strategy. This is reflective of the emphasis that the United States is putting on the relationship that carries through Republican and Democratic administrations. I don't expect that to change whatever happens in 2020. I was going to say, and of course, trade, you know, there have been, it would be to the benefit of the world, which is going to see crimped growth by whether you look at Congressional Budget Office estimates or the IMF or other international bodies, private bodies. The effects of these tariffs on all nations are going to make it tougher to sustain the growth that we've seen in the global economy. I think another way to look at this is beyond the strategic and trade/economic dimensions. I think the people-to-people relationships between the two countries, India and the United States, are very important, and the trajectory is also positive there. There are more students from India coming here to pursue studies at undergraduate and graduate level courses. There are increasing tourism flows in both directions. I think the engagement of the Indian American community is growing. My organization, the World Affairs Councils of America, consists of more than 90 nonprofits across the United States, coast to coast. And we work with organizations such as the Indus Entrepreneurs, in Diaspora, a philanthropic organization. And what we see is just growing engagement among the Indian Americans in the society. We're seeing the leaders, whether it's Nikki Haley or congressional leaders, represent a great force for bridging our two countries.